camos, special ninja warriors. Yes, because Harry's in that shit.
Oh God, he probably won't blow it up.
What's going on?
Unless you're going to war.
Yeah. I've been taking the AIDS cocktail.
What's the AIDS cocktail?
It's a mixture of antibiotics that I was prescribed because he was sick. Now he's okay.
Walker told him he has AIDS.
Wait,
Jesse
you pass it on to everyone else?
No, he likes to think that shit
I feel
because
like
it makes
AIDS
him feel
is, there's
good.
only a super specific way to pass on AIDS, right?
Is this fanny bag too much? I mean, it's very.
Unless you're going to war.
That's a utility fanny pack. What are you gonna carry in it? Bandages?
Do you like Run Everything Labs?
I mean, they pay me, so yes.
Is that Rob Bailey's company?
Yeah.
See, I hear this the 6. See, she's got the
Amazing.
something going
Always.
too. See?
But listen,
See?
Rob will be here next week.
Oh, really? Yeah, I'm going to Cali next week.
He'll be at the 10th. Next week it'll be
That's all.
No, it's week after.
good. Rob and I were neighbors.
Oh, really?
You should message him, tell him when you're in town.
I'll be here that week.
Yeah.
Because I leave on the 13th.
Tell him you want to get lunch or something.
Yeah. No, I've never met him or Dana. I work with their supplement people.
Who,
Austin Ragnar.
Yeah,
yeah. So he's coming out to Cali to film me for like 3 days soon. I mean,
She's out here showing off some of the legs, girl. In great shape.
you think I
girl.
would be? I'm trying to
Looking
be.
good.
Alright. Listen, here's the deal. Let me close this door because we all have AIDS.
Oh. Alright, let me finish. Get out of here.
Marcy out here will take any pictures, but if you don't want
Only
to,
from my right side.
listen, whatever you want
This angle.
and whatever angle you want.
Yeah.
If you want just like here to here, she'll do it.
I don't need here to here.
Maybe just here to here.
So you want me to lay off the gas cam?
Do a wide shot. You want to do mostly wide shots, right?
Yeah.
If you're gonna help it. Not trying to close ones because she's not feeling one. She's not feeling 100.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's so loving. If you want any
That's
drinks,
nice.
let me show you. If you want any drinks, this is
That fanny pack is obnoxious, dude. It's awful shit.
Where's your backpack? Just get that on the
I-
table. Get that off. Looks like he's on his first day of school.
I was just about to say first day of school.
Load it up.
Oh, Mars.
Oh, I had too much coffee.
I haven't had enough.
Coffee.
Is a newborn cat like happens? No, you never had.
I've heard it's like having a fucking baby. Like they fight and he just love you, and she's like, get away from me.
Yeah, so newborn dog is like I was up 3-4 times during the night and
Oh
like.
good lord. No, he slept with us like from the first day. Like
Yeah.
he still sleeps on my head. This morning my alarm went off and he cuddled next to my face.
Yeah.
As out.
He's
I woke
stealing
up
your
and I was
breath. That's
oh
what he's
shit,
doing.
It's almost 6.
He's stealing your breath.
Right. I wake up and my allergies are just
old-
through the roof.
old
He's on my face.
Cat wives' tale. Yeah, she's a sweetheart, man. She's adorable. I've never had something so small though.
Me either.
I gotta get used to it.
Yeah,
Like,
I got the other cats we had at 7 and 8. I've
Yeah.
never,
this thing is
I
like.
had like a baby Rottweiler before. Yeah. That fucking adorable. Those things were like.
Yeah. Like this is heavier than her
Isn't it awesome?
right now. And she's about that. Yeah, this literally is her, just a little lighter. That's.
I told her, I was like, I'm just gonna go to the NSPC and like, he's like, you're gonna get a fucking cat as soon as you see him. But I picked him up and I held him against me in his purse and I was like, this old lady picked him up.
You bitch.
Oh, I was mad.
Now, have you guys ever thought about getting a dog?
Huh?
You ever thought about getting a dog?
We don't have a yard.
Oh, well, you're an inside dog.
No, I need a big dog. I was
Yeah.
raised with like Rottweilers.
I was too. I was raised with German, big 100-pound German
Shepherds.
Shepherd.
Yeah.
So this is
Did
a
a
whole
German
new.
Shepherd when I was a baby. That was my dog.
It's a whole new ball game for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll leave you alone. You want to get some pictures of this crap or whatever.
Otherwise, the podcast is really simple. The podcast is really simple. There's nothing exciting. Like I want to specifically bring up like kind of like self-defense, training, really get beat up. We'll have you sign all of these photos.
Damn, what happened to the Packers, John?
Packers?
Fucking killed me, man.
And we give you, we give you everything. So you can post use with it. Oh yeah, it's all right there. It's perfect. Jesse Ray's here.
See?
That's what you're eating. She was excited because he's black.
She already knows about Jesse Ray's.
Big box is number one. I have to follow up with them. This was to give some box of donuts. I'm working on it. I just figured to schedule it. Pick up. I don't know that those will be big. Have everything we need. Have everything I need. You good, Q? You're closer.
I am. Let's do it.
All right. All right. Now remember, let me get you. She get enough fluids. Remember, she has AIDS. We gotta go slow. I have it too. I'm real sick. You want any anything like you got halls, Q? You need anything?
You want halls?
You want any halls, Jess?
I don't even know what that is. No, but I'm good.
It's good for your throat.
It's like a cough drop.
Yeah, I'm alright.
Where are you from? Where's she from?
She's
Australia.
You from Australia?
Australia.
Oh, we got another Australian.
Another one?
You made it here. You didn't get attacked by a snake or a crazy ass fucking spider. Or you guys got the weirdest fucking animals, man.
Yeah, but we never see them.
until they
Like, it's not, I feel like it's only foreigners that go out there and go like, oh
and
my
see
god.
that shit.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
This
That's
is actually
interesting.
Dana and Rob's and Jay Cutler's drink. It's not an energy drink. It's just an endurance and hydration drink.
I've seen her posting them.
If you want to try one, I got a bunch of cold ones. I put them up here. Drink them as the show goes. No, I think they're decent. I don't think they're great though. But they're just beyond limits training drinks. I don't like plug them, but they sent us a fridge, and Monsters was sending us a fridge. I had to remind Hans, I need some of that CBD shit.
Some of that CBD shit.
We're running low on the CBD we got from the company. It's okay. We're gonna get through this together. In case you get fidgety. Alright, we're ready, go. Fuck it.
Hold on, brother.
See, you make me rush.
No, I couldn't do it until you got on. Cause you're, Dave, fuck this camera up. All right. All right.
What?
And you live. You live.
All right, perfect. All right, today is action-packed as always. Everybody knows I like having women in studio that can beat me up. I'm into that kind of shit.
I was afraid of what you were going to say there, man. I'm glad you cleared that up at the end.
I know, me too. But we have another, I believe the proper term is Aussie in studio. Is that the proper term? Can I say that? Aussie? With a Z. With a Z?
Yeah.
All right. Aussie. We have another Aussie. I want to get it right.
Like
Aussie.
We have like Aussie. All right. We have another Aussie in the studio. So I'm really pumped up to hear her story. We became friends through mutual friends and actually coincidentally train in the same place, but never really trained together because I'm afraid. She's a super badass chick, probably one of the most badass chicks hands down in our gym. And I'm so pumped to have her. We have the one and only Miss JESSY JESS. So she's so much fun. She's actually super energetic to be around. She's a little banged up today. She's not 100, but we're going to try to pull 100 out of her.
I had a lot of coffee this morning, so I think I'm all right.
Oh, she's flying. So tell everybody that doesn't know, why don't you get into it a little bit, give everybody your backstory and how the hell you ended up here, because you're a defector from Australia.
Defector. I'm here legally, just FYI, for everyone who cares. I'm legal.
Damn, I was going to marry you for your green card.
Damn.
Damn, my shot is gone.
So,
Man, I've been trying for that one for 3 years
I
now.
love
It hasn't worked
Australians.
yet.
One strike.
Stop bringing these Australians in here, John.
I know.
How did I end up here?
Yeah.
Funny story. That's not so funny. But my ex-fiance actually tried to kill me in my apartment in Sydney.
Alrighty
and
then.
I had to have him arrested, and my manager freaked out and was like, "You're going to go back to him if you stay there." So he bought me a one-way ticket, and then I just never went home. Did that
On a
just put a
lighter note,
dampener?
in today's news,
in
no.
today's
You
news,
have
on a lighter note.
Wait, you have to give us a little bit,
Holy
a
shit.
little bit more, because I've had a lot of crazy stories in here. We've heard it all here. We've heard about aliens. We've heard about landing on other planets. We heard about abductions.
We haven't been
I've never
asking
been
about the
abducted.
DMs lately, though.
Yeah,
John.
we haven't
gotta
been
get
asking
some
about the DMs. We will get to that with her. But there was an attempt on your life that led to you fleeing. Did you leave everything behind?
I didn't really have anything. All I had was my cat. So after it happened and I had him arrested, my cat and I went and lived in a supplement store for 3 days until I could get together enough money to send him to live with my mum. And then I came.
Supplement store.
Yeah, and then I came to America.
Is that how you got so in shape?
Yeah, was running away from ex-boyfriends.
And living in a
Living
supplement.
in
Yeah.
the supplement store.
Yeah.
So you get to a supplement store, your bags are packed. This is traumatic. We're laughing and joking, but this is
It's
like
been 3 years.
Yeah.
Like
So you can
clearly
you
I've
can
moved
look back
past
on it with a
yeah.
little love, not love for him, but love for like the struggle. So at that time though, when you're living in the supplement store, you're like, my life's ruined. I'm done. Because you're on top of the world now, but
Yeah, well, like yes and no, because obviously, if the relationship got to that stage, there'd been a lot of negative leading up to it. So that was kind of like the volcanic explosion, you know. So it was a lot of relief, but then also like panic. Like, what the fuck do I do? Am I allowed to cuss? Yeah, I'm assuming yes.
yeah, it's
But
explicit,
um,
of course.
but like, what the fuck do I do? I was more worried about getting my cat up to live with my mum. That was kind of the most traumatic part of that experience was my cat having to live in a supplement store.
So you saved Mr. Kitty.
Yes.
Okay. And you're living in a supplement. You're living in a van down by the river. You're living in a supplement store, and then you're like, I'm gonna get this one-way ticket. And was it the dream to do the UFC stuff? Did that just kind of come about, or were you just kind of like, you know what, I'm gonna get on this plane, and who knows what's gonna happen?
Well, I always knew, like the year before, I'd fought here in Vegas at the Cosmopolitan.
Okay. So there was an
So-
established.
Yeah. So I already knew that I kind of needed to come out here, but it was like I was stuck. And then so when that happened, my manager saw it as an opportunity, was like, cool, now you can leave. Like, you have to leave. Let's go. So he just bought me a ticket and I came out. I had like $200 to my name, came to Vegas, legally not allowed to work here, and just kind of figured it out. Found family of a friend out in Summerlin to go stay with. And I went and stayed with them and then walked to Syndicate every day.
So you had $193 more than The Rock in your pocket
Yeah.
when you were getting
Yeah. So
started.
technically I was more successful than The Rock. So
It's a great story, though. It really is. I do want to. Someone commented down below. Yes, we're all pretty sick and banged up. I appreciate the well wishes. We're all on cold medicine. I want to thank everyone in the k-var studio, and of course, Jessy Jess for stopping in. But yeah, we're a little banged up, so excuse the raspiness on everybody's part, and of course the catching up, the coughing.
yeah, my bad. I'll
So-
sign on this.
We're all doing it. It's okay. But that's amazing. So you go through this transition. You get here. You're walking a syndicate. You're getting your legs underneath you, so to speak, in more ways than one. At what point are you like, do you feel like it's coming together and like life is normal? somewhat?
To be honest, like I've been here 3 years. It's probably only been the. Actually, I can't say anything's really come together yet. Like a lot of these really great opportunities have happened, but then they've been like stamped with negativity. But I feel pretty set now.
But you like living in the struggle. Some people like.
I do.
They do. Some
Yeah.
people do like that. Like I like that. I don't mind it. I always need a challenge. Like I need
Yeah.
like, it can all go right, but I need like the sky to fall.
Yeah.
Too.
I definitely get very bored very quickly. I think that's why that's how I knew I wanted to fight, because it was the only thing I ever stuck to for longer than 3 months.
So talk to me about the fighting. Why fighting?
Because it's fun. Because I legally get to hurt people as much as I want, and people want me to do it, and they pay me to do it. You know, I'm super competitive. I love it. I played team sports for a long time when I was growing up, and they don't compare to what I get to do now.
I don't know.
What?
Do you feel like does it empower women? Because you know in the beginning, like when Ronda got beat up, everybody was like, oh my God, I don't want to see women get beat up. Like, do you feel like the UFC's crossed over now and it's like a truly accepted thing for women to do to get in a cage and beat the hell out of each other? Is it, or are you guys still knocking down some of those walls? Because I love it and I like watching it, but I still see some people that kind of cringe. And do you deal with any of that backlash?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be a long time before it's 100% accepted. To be honest, I don't think it's ever going to be 100% accepted because there's always, like, there's the fraction of the population that's like, oh, we don't think that women should be doing men's sports. There's
Right.
a fraction that goes, oh, we don't want to see women be violent or we don't want to see women get hurt. There's a fraction who go, fuck yeah, hot chicks in bikini, like almost in bikinis, wrestling each other. So then it's completely sexualized. And then there's a fraction that's like, yeah, women deserve to compete, you know? So I don't know that you'll ever really combat all those other areas.
I don't think it, you know, it's funny you bring up the sexualized thing. I don't think it's sexualized at all. Like, I don't look at any of them. And I'm friends with quite a few women fighters. I don't watch a lot of fighting. I don't watch a ton of UFC.
Neither do I.
I really don't. It's a funny thing. Like, I'll watch it sometimes with AG and he'll be like, hey, did you see that? And I'm like, it's Chinese to me. I like jujitsu because it's like yoga, but there's different reasons for that. You know, I love it. And I think the UFC has done a phenomenal job. I think Ronda was a catalyst. I think it's now got legitimate divisions, legitimate fighters. You know, I'm friendly with Kat Zingano and some folks, and I think they've all done a great job establishing what it is now and getting it to this point. But there was a lot of growing pains. And now I see female fighters being looked at as fighters. Like, at least I don't cue you. Do you look at them and you sexual? I don't see that when they're in the cage. Maybe if like Ronda did a photo shoot,
Yeah.
something like that. But I'm scared to death now. Maybe it's because I dated a black belt at one point and got beat up. I don't look at them and I'm not like, hey, geez, they're almost in bikinis. That's what the ring girls are for, the ring card people. I think that's what that's for. But I think the sport's done a good job dispelling some of that. You know what I mean? And making it like you guys are looked at as badasses. And the division's kind of stacked now.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, there's definitely more women involved. And I think I find that the men that are involved in the sport in some form, they're the ones that treat us with a lot of respect. It's the ones that just see us, that are just spectators, that still seem to sexualize a lot of it, you know?
Did you get into it for self-defense first?
No, I got into kickboxing to cut weight for a powerlifting meet. And then I just never powerlifted again.
Yeah, I powerlifted for years, and I'm not. I'm old. Let me put it this way: like Tony and I have had this fight. I'm not a big fan as I've gotten older of deadlifts and certain things, and there's a reason for this. And a lot of guys have come out and said just deadlifting for deadlift's sake is not healthy. It's not good. And there's reasons for that. Like I've gotten away from it as I've gotten older because I feel like that much stress on the joints and on my body isn't good.
Yeah.
But that's me. Now, you get away from it and you get into the kickboxing and you get into everything else. Did you ever like talk to family and they were like, you're fucking crazy? Or were they like supportive?
My family's always been super supportive. I think my mum was more disappointed that I didn't go get a real job.
Oh God.
At the start, because I'd always told her, well, like I went to university or college for like 3 months. She was super stoked when I went to college. And then I was like, actually, I think I want to fight full time. I'm going to quit. And then I think she was a little bummed out about that. But once she realized that I was actually sticking to this, and she's been super supportive. Like her and my granddad travel to near every fight that I have. Like they've been to Korea, they've been to Singapore, they've been to the States, they're coming to Russia. Like they just follow me everywhere.
But let me ask you a question, Jess. What's a real job?
Oh, I don't know.
You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Like today.
I mean, I definitely don't feel like I have a real job. I get paid to do a hobby. Like I think a real job is sitting 9 to 5 behind a computer.
But I think our generation's redefining that.
Yeah.
Like I don't know anybody in this building that has at least on our side that has a real job. Like Marcy, do you feel like you have a real job? Yeah. Q?
Yeah.
I sell crack.
Crack. Because like I just don't feel like I feel like that there's a huge paradigm shift. Like I think our parents' generation lived like that, and maybe like a real job to them is like maybe going and selling cars or like
She wanted me to be a lawyer.
Be an accountant, like something like that. But what they don't realize is even being a lawyer or an accountant, you still got to go get the clients.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you just do what you love and then build up the fans or the ticket sales or the followers? And it's the same thing. I don't know. I just don't think the context is the same anymore, and it's just that whole generation needs to like kind of see it
Yeah.
for what it is.
Well, to be like my mum was a single parent, you know. So when she had me, she stopped working full time. She's only just started working again now. So I don't understand how she could ever go, oh, you need to have a real job when she never had a real job.
Whoa!
But maybe that's why she
Raising
wanted me
you
to.
is a real job. How dare you?
You know what I mean.
I know what
you
you
know
mean.
what I mean. But I think that's why, like, because she kind of got, like, she loves being a mom, obviously, because she
course.
had 6 children, but she kind of got stuck in this cycle where she had to commit all of her life
6 kids.
looking after us. So I think she wanted me to be more established, you know, before I got into the having kids, getting married, all that bullshit.
So how does it feel though, being like this badass chick that could just choke a dude out? Because you're high energy, and you know I've watched you roll and grapple, and it's funny, you know. I mean, like how, like. Do the belts mean anything to you, or do you just want to win fights? Like, what's the motivator? What's the driver?
Which belts? Like MMA belts? Like
Jiu-jitsu,
jiu-jitsu belts?
like what in general? Like, do you just like do it because you want to eat food, or I mean, like, what's some people like? I just want to get money. You know what I mean? Like, what?
There's tons of different motivators. Like, I love to compete. I'm super competitive. If you have any conversation with me, I'm always going to try to compete at some point in that conversation. You know. Obviously, I'm very high energy all the time. And if I don't train, like when I was injured, so I was off for 6 months, I was like a fucking nightmare.
It's a death sentence.
Yeah, I was a nightmare because I had so much energy, but I had nothing that I could put it into, you know? So that's kind of, I think my mom says I'm very aggressive. I don't think I'm aggressive. I think I'm just straightforward. But she says I'm aggressive, and that's why I fight. But I just love to compete. Obviously, I want money. I always knew I was going to be in entertainment. Like, I knew I would be the center of attention. I love being in the spotlight. I love everyone looking at me. You know, obviously I have face tattoos and stuff. Like, I like standing out from the crowd.
Yeah, when you walked in here, you were on death's door. Now we put the cameras on and you're flying.
See?
It's funny.
I'm an
crazy.
entertainer.
It's good though. No, I mean, like, listen, in Colby Covington's the same way.
Yeah, I love Colby.
Colby's
dude.
the same way.
Don't tell anyone I said that.
You know, but I think everybody does secretly like his shtick because I that's another story for another time.
I don't like his shtick. I like Colby as a person.
I think he's opening doors with it.
Yeah.
And there's reasons behind it, and I get his reasons.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. But for you, where does it go from here now? What's the next step? Is it to win? Like, is bantamweight, or do you go down, or do you move? Like, what's the goal?
I think I'll stay at bantamweight, you know. Although it's weird, my walk around weight's a lot lower than it used to be when I first made the decision to go to bantamweight. All of a sudden, I'm now walking around 10 pounds lighter. So I keep playing with the idea of going back to 125, but my coach tells me you are not going to 125. So I'm okay with that. I'm just going to keep eating burgers and pizza and pasta every day, and I'm going to stay at bantamweight. Obviously UFC gold for sure, 100%. I want to make money. I want that belt. I want to start getting paid more, you know. But I'll earn my right to get paid more. Now,
do you feel the UFC does all it can for the athletes? Because I know that's been a bitter pill for Colby and for some of the guys I've had through here. I know they're super good to you on the way in. Do you foresee changes coming for the athletes on the way out? Because I have a theory that at some point they're going to have to fix a lot of that and take care of you guys. They're going to have to come up with some criteria. And I've talked to Matt Brown about this. I've talked to multiple fighters. This isn't like a singular conversation. Everybody sees it going in the same direction. Like Matt Brown was like, I left the UFC. I opened my gym. I didn't get a single phone call. Like, I didn't get a retirement watch. I didn't get anything. And he's like, I'm a 30-fight guy.
Yeah.
Like, no. And I said, they're going to have to put a wellness plan in at some point, something when it's done. I know that that's something that probably Forrest is fighting for. That's something that has to be done. I mean, do you foresee it getting to that point? Like, as you transition and you figure out what you want to do, they should at least have a couple people that support you guys on the way out and get you guys where you want to be after the sport, because you have to start to think about that.
Yeah, I think they should. And I think they will, because you're seeing now more of the athletes, as they're coming to the end of their careers, are starting to work for the actual company. And I believe they're the ones that will drive the change, you know? But I don't know. I think I haven't been in it long enough to really experience any of the negativity yet. And I've seen it go two ways.
I don't think it's negative. I think it's just dialogue, honestly, Jess. I think it's just more dialogue and Dana figuring out what supports you guys the best after the fact. And I think that's something Forrest is going to, and some of the team there are going to have to kind of dig through and figure out.
I do think they're working on it, though, because, like, obviously with the PI being open, they're starting to realize that they need to take care of the athletes whilst we're in our careers. And I think it'll transition over to retirement. Yeah,
conversation stimulates a lot of that. It's just having an open dialogue like, hey, you know, I'm getting to the end and I'm thinking of opening my own gym. Do you have resources here that help me do that or help me transition to the next phase of my career? And I think I think that's something that makes the UFC unique, because I think they have a lot of really cool, creative people that could go on and continue to sell the sport. And I think that could be actually a badge of honor for them and not a negative. It can be something that they can be like, look, you know, here's all our guys and here's what they're doing now. And they just have to have somebody in place that they can call, something they can lean on. You know, I know the PI is it's a step in that direction. It really is. And, you know, I love what they're doing down there. I was fortunate to go by the Contender Series, you know, and check it out. And I think they have a lot of that Contender Series is pretty badass.
I haven't been.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You got to go by.
Yeah, one day. Yeah, I'm always working when it's on there.
Well, you're already there, so you don't need that. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it is a kind of cool atmosphere that they've created. It's like a little bit of like a minor league thing. Do you think, talking about fighters after the fact, like, you know, we both go to the same gym, and I see this in a lot of gyms, and especially here in Vegas, because I came from SBG in Montana. There wasn't a lot of pro fighters. There's a couple. Do you feel like too many of them have this false hope that they're all going to make it to the UFC and make millions of dollars?
I wouldn't say a false hope, because I feel like if you're getting into this sport and you're of a reasonable age, then that should be your goal, you know? I think there are some people that I see that are starting to fight really later in their years that maybe it's not a realistic goal, you know?
Do you think every fighter should have a plan B?
100%. I have like 17 plan Bs, like 100%. And that's my biggest argument. Like, I coach fighters as well. And that's one of the things I'm always onto them about, is that, like, even if this is your primary career, like, it's super short-lived. You know, I'm 32 this year. I may fight for another 4 years, you know, at best. So obviously, like, what other career retires you in your mid-30s? Oh, outside of athletics.
And you're not rich at the end of it, by no stretch of the imagination. If you make it to the top of the card for a couple of fights or even a year or two, you know, then you can do well if you parlay it into certain
but that's
things.
If you're smart, because like a lot of fighting tends to attract like a lot of really broken individuals. You know, it's just one of those sports where people get into it because they've been bullied, because they have low self-esteem, you know, for all these super negative reasons. So
look at American football. I mean, come on, talk about broken individuals.
Yeah, but they're also brought up through college and stuff, and they have people looking after them. We don't have anyone looking after us, you know. We don't, unless we go get financial. I'm talking about from a financial standpoint. Unless we go get financial advisors and accountants and stuff like that, like. Going from being broke and poor, like I was homeless for a long time, you know, or living in a car, and then all of a sudden making $20,000. Like, it's real easy to blow that money. I did my tax return for last year, and I was like, where the fuck did all my money go? You know?
Welcome to my life.
Yeah. But so unless, like, you could get to the top and make good money, but unless you have the common sense to actually invest it or do something with it, then that's not going to last very long.
Yeah, because I sit around the mat, and everybody I sit with is like, yeah, I'm going to go to the UFC, and I'm going to get rich, and then I'm going to open a gym.
Tell me how to do that.
And I'm like, and I sit there, and I, you know me, like, I don't say much in the gym. Like, once I walk in there, it's kind of like, that's Casey's house, and
this is the most I've ever heard you speak.
Yeah, so. I'm like, it's Casey's house, so I kind of keep quiet when I'm in there. Yeah. When I'm out of there, I'll run my mouth the minute I walk outside the door. But every cat I sit with, it's like, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm like, I applaud them for the focus.
Yeah.
Like, the focus is awesome. But I'm like, have you thought about maybe a podcast?
Yeah.
Maybe this? Like, and they just look at you with a blank stare, like, no, I'm going to be world champion. I'm like, wow, this gym's got a lot of world champions. Like, holy cow.
But that's awesome, you know.
It's
like,
good and bad.
It's awesome to have those goals, but I feel like a lot of fighters aren't, like they don't understand all the extra work they need to do outside of just training. Like we are in an entertainment sport. MMA is an entertainment sport. It's not just about athletics. You know, if you're in football, like your job is to go to training through the week, play on weekends, go back to training through the week, play on weekends. You know, like we have to create our own fan bases. Like we have to be entertaining enough. We have to go do podcasts. We have to go do interviews. We have to go do appearances to make sure that people know who we are. Because as soon as you're out, you're irrelevant because you don't have a team backing you to keep your name in the focus. So all the, like, I find with a lot of fighters, they're like, yeah, like I'm just gonna train hard and I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna let my performance speak for itself. And I'm like, fuck no, dude. Like that's not. Like I lost my last fight and I still went up 60,000 on my Instagram followers, you know, and I lost. But it comes from every other thing that I do outside of that. And all my sponsors and the people who pay my bills, they come not because I fight. They come because of everything else that I do outside of fighting.
I'm glad you said that. Like that's the.
I argue about this all the time.
No, but that's the best I've heard it explained. It's you have to, because people get bitter.
Yeah.
They get bitter that people have followings, or they get bitter that they get bitter that that's going on, whatever it is in their life, and they don't understand that fighting is one part of it. Yes, it's your supreme focus. Just like this podcast. When I do this, I have to be on, regardless of whatever else is happening in my life. When I do other stuff in this building, I have to be on. So when I do the other things that help my business, whether it's sharing clips, posting stuff, putting things out there, that's all to water the grass. You have to water the grass constantly, and you have to do so many things. And you're constantly on the phone. You're constantly working your network, working your connections, keeping yourself relevant, pushing and growing. And you have to have like a controlled growth. And you have to manage it as best you can before you kind of release it to the world, I like to say. Like before it starts to, you have to make that sure that that viral moment, whenever it comes, whether it's fighting or whatever it is, that you're putting your best out there. And I think that, you know, regardless win or lose, it's how you carry yourself through every step of that. You know, and I think that not enough people do mic work. Like this is getting used to the mic and used to talking, getting used to taking photos, even in your best and worst conditions. The best advice I ever got was from a former Dallas Cowboy friend of mine. He said, John, he said, no matter what, you got to be a pro. He said, you have to be a pro. He said, you have to kind of make stuff work. Like even today, you didn't feel good. You didn't feel 100. You're like, oh, fuck it, I'll be there. Like I'll make it work. And that's important, because what happens with some of these guys is, like you said, they get a supreme focus on one thing, don't water the other things. Then they hate people like you because you're doing it.
And I've experienced some of that even from my previous teammates that have been in the sport for a lot longer and have had a lot more fights than me, and then I get opportunities before they do, you know, and I experience a lot of negativity.
And they say it's just because you're a girl.
Yeah. Well, no, this is coming from other girls, and they're like, and like I'm very deliberate with how I promote myself. Like I'll post videos and stuff in shorts and a crop top while I'm striking or lifting, but I don't do bikini stuff. Like I don't do underwear stuff. I don't overly sexualize my social media like some other people do, you know? So I would get it thrown back at me like, oh, she's just getting opportunities because she's pretty. And I'm like, no, dude, I'm getting opportunities because I'm out working every week. Like I have 4 other jobs outside of fighting, you know? I look after a bunch of other athletes. Like I'm always giving back to the sport. I'm always putting attention into my social media. And this is like, social media is so underutilized. And these particular, like they were old teammates of mine girls who were upset that I got signed before they got signed, you know? Even though, like whatever, I'm working, like I'm busting my ass to make sure that I'm entertaining in all areas, you know, that people want to see me fight, even if they don't like me, like they still want to see me lose, you know. They want to see me win, they want to see me lose.
That's
whatever.
the best. That's when you're hitting a home run.
Yeah.
When they want to watch you. Like I said this to somebody, like when we were getting into the podcast, we've had about 50 guests on. I said, you know, you want to get to a point, like Howard Stern said he knew he made it when he got the runs of his ratings, and he said, what's the number one reason people watch? Because they want to see what he says next. What's the number one reason people hate him? It's because they want to see what he says next. So like no matter what, they're tuning in, good and bad. And that's kind of what you want. Like we talk about it here, Q and I, about like it's just checking a box. When somebody leaves a comment or somebody says something, like when somebody says, hey, fuck you, I hope you die, you're like, oh, cool, like that's awesome. Have a good day.
Keep watching, man.
Keep watching. Like it's just getting that, you know, that continued dialogue and just interaction is what it ends up being. Absolutely. It's just checking a box.
Yeah, and that's something I've said to people who've been negative about it in the past. Like, I've gone on and helped them create that through their social media. Because social media is one of the most underutilized tools. You know,
I think YouTube's the most underutilized too. That's what I tell
I
everybody.
agree. I'm trying to be better at it.
It's harder. It's where you separate the men from the boys.
Yeah.
Instagram's very easy.
Yeah.
And Instagram's one of those platforms that people, I guess, you know, it's the highlight of their day. It's that one moment of the day. And it's easy. Like anybody can sit here and be like this, like, oh, hi, you know, I got Jessy Jess in studio, and oh my God, I'm so cool, and they can be like, oh, boom, you know, and I'm gonna put it on Instagram, and I'm gonna link it, and all that stuff. But YouTube takes work.
No, YouTube, you've got to plan, edit, like film. You got to produce it. I know. That's why I'd be lazy with my YouTube, because I have so many other jobs that I struggle to find the time to do YouTube. But I know that it's such a valuable marketing tool.
So I want to talk to you about the division for a second.
Let's go.
Get into it. Tell me what you think about bantamweight in general, the women's division as a whole. Who do you like? Who do you hate? And where do you think it's going, and how do you think it all shakes out?
So with bantamweight, it seems to be very black and white. Like there's people at the top and then there's people at the bottom. You know, there's no gray area in between. Like there's the ones who've been fighting forever: Holly Holm, Raquel Pennington, Amanda Nunes, like all those that are in the top 5. You know, and then everyone else is pretty new. So I see a shift happening soon. I think Amanda will retire after 1 or 2 more fights. You know, she's killing it, seems pretty happy. I know they talk about starting a family, like she's got a farm in Brazil or whatever. So I think she's on her way out. And then I kind of see Holly, maybe Raquel, some of those not older, but more experienced fighters hanging it up soon. And then it's going to lead a new wave to come through. And I feel like I'm part of the new wave, because I haven't been in it for long, but I also don't want to be fighting when I'm 40.
Take yourself out of it.
Yeah.
Give me your top 3 when the new wave comes in. Who you have your eye on that you're like, they're doing good work.
Irene Aldana, for sure. Irene Aldana.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know. Julia Avila, I like. She's only had 1 fight so far, but that's pretty much it. Like, I'll be honest, I'm really bad at my job with actually paying attention to who's fighting and who's in it. Like, I focus on what I need to do and what's kind of coming next for me. And then after my next fight, then I go, all right, who's next on the list?
Who do you look back on, like the legacy folks, and you're like, damn, like she was fucking awesome?
Ronda. Always. Like, love her or hate her, none of us would be here without her.
I have a theory with her. I don't think anybody quote unquote hates her. I think people, like, whether it's people have said in the past like she was very manufactured, but I've heard great explanations on it. That was what the division was.
Yes.
Like she was a superstar because of a number of factors. She had all the factors. But it's no different than any other sport. When baseball, they talk about 5-tool players. Can they run? Can they hit? Can they do this? She could do a little bit of everything. She could be a cover person. She could be a model. She could be a personality that could talk. And along the way, she made a ton of enemies because she did all those things right. And she left a lot of people in the past because of it. But I think it was just her arc.
Yeah.
She was the first superstar in that women's division in many ways. Since other people have come along, but she was a judo expert who could land 3 or 4 moves from almost anywhere. Yeah. And she was very good at it. And she did the most with what she had. Then when people started coming in with striking and other abilities, yes, she got exposed along the way. Yeah. But that was coming. That was the evolution.
Supposed to happen,
that was supposed to happen. And then I remember when she lost, and people like on her IG and everything else, people like shit all over, and I'm like, this woman changed the whole game.
Yeah, right. Like, and she went undefeated. Well, she went on a win streak for a long time.
It was like 12 fights or something. Yeah, it was obnoxious.
And no one's done what she's done.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's why all the hate comes from people either being, I guess, being disappointed. I don't even think it's hate. I think it's just being disappointed because they wanted to see her keep going, or jealous.
I think what it is, Jess, I think in the beginning, and I look at 25 to 35 as young. Yeah. We're young, we're hustling, we're making stuff happen. We're willing to talk to everybody because we have the time and the bandwidth. And we're willing to, like, kind of give everybody a chance in our circle, so to speak. Yeah. And we're just more available. But as you reach a point of superstardom and the money starts coming in, the fame, it's hard to let everybody come along for that ride. You can't take everybody with you. It's like your phone blows up when you go into a camp and you're getting ready for a fight because everybody wants to be a part of that. You know, everybody's trying to grab onto you, but you can't take everybody with you. So along the way, it's like, oh shit, she didn't get me tickets. Oh shit, she don't love me. Oh, you know, she didn't take me. I wasn't at her camp, and like, fuck that bitch, you know. But you can't. What people don't realize is you can't let everybody can't come along on the ride.
Also, not everyone deserves to be a part of it.
We're in a car. You can fit like 4 or 5 people. Like that's like as good as it gets. Like you try, you do the best you can, but you're juggling flaming chainsaws at that point. They're literally flaming chainsaws.
100%.
You know, like I'm sure when Monster comes along and CBD, MD, and all these different things, everybody like is like, oh, you know, she's the shit. They either want to be your friend or they start to look at
hate
they start to look at you a little sideways, like,
what is she doing to get there?
That's why when I go to, you know, you mentioned like this is the most you heard me talk. When I go to training and everything, I just kind of keep I do my thing. I sit in the corner. I just kind of keep quiet. But I have great relationships with people for that reason. Like I kind of do my thing, whatever. Support me, hate me, do whatever you want. But I try to be as supportive to all you guys because I think you guys are the stars. I legitimately believe that. I think you guys are the superstars, whether it was through the years, Tony or Hans or anybody, or having folks in, Matt, Colby. You know, I look at like Ben when he came on the mat and he was moving out here. I was like, man, anything I can do, you know, yell out. You kind of say your thing, do your thing, and then you just keep to yourself and stay in your lane, you know? But I think some people, you know, why do people hate?
Jealousy.
Is that the number one?
I believe so. For sure. Because I know, to be honest, I don't get a whole lot of negativity. But anytime I do, it's because someone made a joke that I felt was inappropriate and I blocked them. So they make a new account and they get upset about it, you know? Or it's because I'm dating someone, you know? Like, it's always jealousy. It's never...
Support.
No, like, I mean, I'm talking about specific negative comments, but it's always, it always comes from hurt or jealousy, you know? I don't really think there's any other reason to hate someone. If you don't know them personally, what other reason could you have to hate them? Yeah,
I feel like unless you have a personal story where you say, you know what, Jesse and I were cool, but she punched me in the face. And I could be like, all right. I could see that. All right, that's a reason. But
if you're like, oh, I made a joke about alcoholism and she blocked me, what a fucking cunt. That's not.
Or like, I always say this to people. I'm like, do you know her?
Yeah.
Like, have you spent time with her?
I ask the same thing.
Do you know, and I've heard Rob Bailey say, like, I'll be like, oh, so-and-so says hi. They mentioned they were a friend of yours. And he'll be like, who's my friend?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm very careful to throw the friend card around. Like, I don't throw the friend card around unless...
acquaintance a lot or people
I've
I
met
know.
them. Yeah, I've spent some time with them. I've broken bread with them. You know, I sit with them. I eat with them. You know, but I wouldn't like say like they're my friend. Like Tony's my friend.
Yeah.
Like we're close. You know, certain people I'll say we're close, we're friends, we text, we talk, you know, regularly. Like I would say even after this, like, yeah, she's an acquaintance, cool chick. You know, I spent some time with her, awesome chick, you know.
But we don't go hang out in our personal time. No. Yeah.
You know, not to say you're against that, but you only have so much bandwidth and so much time. And that's part of the reason. This is what I want to get to. That's part of the reason why you can't give your number to everybody. You can't, because people sometimes don't understand and how to manage the relationship.
Yeah.
Like I have every guest that's walked through this building's number in my phone.
Yeah.
I'm friendly with all of them. I'm friends with some of them. But I don't text them every day like, yo, dog, what you up to? It's just not that way unless I had to or had a reason to. Because I understand the fragility of the relationship. And I'm like, if I have an opportunity, because I know where it's at, you will do something if it has to be a benefit on both sides.
Exactly.
Like, hey, I'm going to go eat. Geez, I'm hungry too. Let's do that. That's the basic level. At a higher level, as you get busy and you have a lot going on, it has to be both sides win.
Yeah. And that's where I get a lot of people get upset with me because
that's what I was getting
I'm bad at texting people back because, like I said, I have 4 other jobs outside of training. So literally I teach my first class. I'm either training at 6 a.m. or I'm teaching at 7 a.m., you know? So from that time in the morning until 10 o'clock at night when I get home, I'm usually busy. So if I'm texting someone, it's because I need something from them immediately or it's to do with work. So I have people I'm friendly with who text me about random stuff and I don't get back to them for a while. I don't even get back to some work people for a while if I don't feel like it warrants an immediate response. you know, but, and I say to him, like, I forgot to reply. Like, I read it while I was training. I read it while I was working, and I forgot to do it afterwards, you know, but if it's important, I'll respond straight away. Like, people text me to go, you know, go help them out with a photo shoot or something like that. And I go, I don't reply because I'm like, one, I know I can't do it anyway. And two, I forget.
There's no right answer.
No, that's it. Like,
yeah.
if I say no, you're going to be upset. If I don't reply, you're going to be upset. But I'm not going to say yes because I know I don't have the time to go and do it.
And like, I always try to make it win-win. Like, get some content, you know, like, hey, hang out, catch up. So you get a little of everything.
Yeah.
It's win-win all around. Do you see yourself making, because this is important in context of everything I do you see yourself making the women's self-defense thing later in life more important, or is that something that will come to the forefront? Because I know for my ex and for a lot of women in jiu-jitsu and fighting, they're big into women empowerment and women's self-defense. Is that something that you see growing as time goes on, as the goals shift, and do you enjoy training women?
I do. I love training women. Like, I'm a coach. I'm always trying to include women and encourage women to come do my classes.
Because I saw some of that last night.
Yeah. Yeah, I love training with girls. Even though for me personally, for my career, it's good for me to train with other women. So I'm always trying to get girls to come in. You know, my main students are female. Like, I will always be the first one to try to welcome women into my gym. You know, I think self-defense is super important. I think even just the confidence that doing something like kickboxing or bag classes even gives you is invaluable. You know,
right.
So. Yeah, anything that I could ever do to try to increase awareness of that. But I think, like, I know I can do a lot. I wish more female combat sport athletes were wanting to give back to the sport in the same way, because I think that's how we create a culture. But there's so many that are kind of just focused on their own career, which you should be, you know. But beyond your own career, you should be giving back to the people who gave back to you. So I think that's the way we're going to get more women involved in it, is by having more women at the top, opening doors for them. Because I know how intimidating it is, even for me. Like, when I first started going to Extreme Couture, like, I've been training for 10 years and fighting for 8, you know, and I still, like, was slightly intimidated walking into that gym. So I can't imagine what it's like being a female who has no experience, isn't in the sport, isn't in the industry, and wants to learn how to defend themselves. So that's why I think it's really important to have high-level women who have a platform to be the faces, to go like, hey, like, come here. I'm going to create this avenue for you. I'm going to help you get there. And then that's how we're going to get more girls involved.
Do you want to own a gym yourself?
I've thought about that. I think, honestly, I don't know if I want the responsibility that comes with owning a gym. If I could have someone else run it for me so I still had the freedom to travel, that would be great. I would much rather work and help at an established gym.
Well, there's plenty of investors out there that, like, you could lend your name to it if it gets to that point, and kind of come in and do as you please.
But I'm like, I'm a 0 to 100, right? So if I'm gonna do something, like, I'm gonna do it 100%. And I think I would need to wait until I was a little further along in my life to be able to commit to something like that, because of all the other things that I do. So I love to coach, and I love teaching, and I love helping. But the actual commitment of owning my own gym, I'm 100% not ready for that yet.
How has it been, you know, seeing the current champions and past champions since you've been in the division? Do you learn from them what it takes to be a champion? Like, what tidbits have you taken from them, and what's your definition of being a champion in the UFC?
That's a really good question.
That's what we do here. We ask the difficult ones.
I heard that before I came in today. You know, one thing I always say about, so obviously Amanda's the current champion in my division, and one thing I've always said about her since she won the belt is that, like, she conducts herself like a champion. She clearly believes in herself in that professional way. Her approach to training seems to be a lot more serious than maybe it used to be in the past. Because that's one thing I see with people getting signed to the UFC or signed to Bellator, is that they seem to think, oh, I've made it, so they can relax. You know, with Amanda, I believe she really stepped it up to maintain that. Honestly, I think I've seen a lot of disappointing champions, just in that they don't understand how much reach they actually have and the platform that they have, and they don't use it the right way. Obviously, my right way is going to be different to other people's right way, but I think if you're in that position where you're in, like, a powerful position, you should be using it for good. You know, you should be using it to help people. That's why, you know, Khabib donating his fight kit to Dustin Poirier's foundation that was beautiful. You know, that was brilliant. I may not be, I don't know Khabib, so I can't say I'm a fan of him or not, you know, but that really made me see him as someone that I respect just because of that. And that's how I think a champion should behave.
I like that. I can get with that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can get with that. You know, and I think a lot is what's unseen.
Yeah.
You know, and when I say unseen, not highly publicized.
Yeah.
Something like him giving his fight kit to a charity or to something that people may view otherwise as a competitor of his,
Yeah.
but having the graciousness. And I think a true coach, a true champion, always smiles in the face of stupidity.
Yeah.
And is gracious at all times with his time.
Yeah.
I watched, I've seen in the past, okay, Jay Cutler be so gracious with his time.
Yeah.
And he'll sit and he'll listen to people and they'll walk away. And I had this conversation with Mike O'Hearn here, and he'll say, you know, I'll be like, don't you get sick of it? And he's like, nah, bro, you can't. You can't.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do you listen to like someone come in and say, how do I get big?
Yeah.
Or how do I get strong? Or how do I become like, I love dissecting what makes someone successful.
Yeah.
And that's what I enjoy. And I like picking that apart, and I never get sick of it because everybody has a different path and everybody has a different track. And a lot of it begins with what people don't realize, years and years and years of struggle.
Yeah.
And we're in a generation now, our generation, they want it all now.
Yeah, well, you see overnight successes. What's that? There's that one picture going around of, I think, Lionel Messi. And he's like, it took me 17 years to become an overnight success, which is exactly what it is. You know, like everyone saw Conor explode onto the scene. Everyone saw Ronda explode onto the scene. Like they didn't see Ronda being woken up by her mum in the middle of the night to go train when she was a kid. You know, they don't look at any of that.
Yeah, and they don't see like especially in my world, like people talk about Rogan, they don't see the years he did the UFC stuff for free.
Yeah.
The time, you know, he did 9 years of his podcast before it was even anything. And if you go back and watch those old episodes, they're terrible.
Yeah.
You know,
I remember listening to him back in like 2014 when I used to ride my bicycle to work before training every day, and I'd always listen to his podcast
and
on the way there.
You know, it was all janky with a webcam, and none of it was like high end. Now you can do things in life to expedite the process faster by putting the right people around you early on, by having the right managers, the right infrastructure, and having, you know, the support, and you know, that comes in different forms. Some people get good money support in the beginning. Some people don't. Some people get good media support. They catch something goes viral.
Yeah.
Some people get too much too soon. And that's a bad thing too.
Ooh, we've seen that a lot.
And we see that a lot. And it's just all about that juggle. And especially in the defense world, in the world I'm in, you have to be very careful. You have to be very, you know, you have to stay in your lane, and staying in your lane is really important. And you have to make sure that you understand your place and where you fit in all things. When I walk in, you know, I come from the gun world and the firearms world. I could walk in and you know, look at jiu-jitsu as like it's just another tool in the toolbox. But I know a lot of guys there take it very seriously. To them, that's the ultimate. To me, it's not the ultimate. It's just another tool in the toolbox of self-defense. It fits in the spectrum, but it's just a slice.
Yeah.
And then there's guys that's the whole pie.
That's
for them.
everything.
That's everything to them. And for me, it's just a slice. But I think figuring out and dissecting what that success path is and how to get from A to B, not enough people realize you have to go all the way to Z.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of steps.
Yeah, it's not as easy as it looks.
It's not as easy as it looks.
Yeah, you brought up like Jay talking to fans and stuff like that. I actually learned the same thing. I did an appearance for Monster with Flex Lewis once.
Oh.
And so there was Flex and I, and obviously like doing an appearance with Flex, 99.9% of the people who were there to see Flex. Like no one even knew.
And they
who
don't
I
understand
was.
3 words he says.
No, but watching him interact with everyone, like lucky no one was there to see me, so I didn't have to do shit. So I just stood there watching him the whole time and watching like every second person. How do I grow my forearms like that? How do I make my calves bigger? And then watching him give like an honest, emotional answer to every single one of them, to the point where the Monster staff had to tell him to turn his answers down a little bit so that we could get through people.
Oh
more.
yeah, he takes forever.
But like after that, I remember I asked him about it, and I was like, do you speak to people like that all the time? You know, because I've done appearances with really big name fighters where they're like, yep, cool, shake your hand, all right, fuck off, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then watching him, who's more famous than almost anybody I know, you know, still take the time to give every single person an honest, genuine answer. I was like, all right, cool, like that's how I need to be, you know?
Yeah, Flex is interesting. He's got it down. So I'll see him at events, and whenever I see him or Jay or anybody at events, I just give them a wave because I know
Yeah.
they're working. Like
Yeah.
I'll be like, hey, what's up? It's like if I saw you at a UFC thing, I just be like, what's up? You're working at
But
that
he
point.
still takes the time to say
He'll take
hello.
the time,
Yeah.
but you almost have to like just do that because you know that the other stuff's more important. Like I'm gonna be
Yeah.
here, bro. Shoot me a message. But he's got it down. He'll shake your hand. He does the shoulder tap.
Yeah.
He does the head nod. He's got it all down cold, and it's almost like he's dialed in, and
Yeah.
he'll listen and receive everything you say, and he'll give you an answer. And like you said, it's almost too long-winded.
Yeah.
You know. But he'll go into it, and it's not so much that he takes the time. It's I don't know how they hear the same questions
Yeah.
over and over. That's the thing.
And still give such a
And
passionate answer.
Yeah, they give a passionate answer. Like they'll be like, "Hey, bro, how do I grow my legs?" And you're just like, "Bro, you got to ask that 17
Yeah.
times. How do you still give
Yeah.
a good answer?"
But then it's understanding that,
Mm-hmm.
that's the first time that person has heard the answer, you know?
So you have to take the time and you have
Yeah.
to be patient. And Mike O'Hearn, I asked him that when he was here. I said, "How do you get sick of the people ever?" And he said, "No, I never get sick of the people." And I said, "How?" And he goes, "Same answer." He goes, "You just have to realize that might be the first time
Yeah.
that person's meeting you." And some guys have that rough exterior, but they're when you like Matt Brown. Okay, so I was just with Matt. Matt has a super rough exterior, but when you get Matt going and you realize his humor, it's a little bit, he has a little bit of that surly, sarcastic
Yeah,
humor.
yeah.
It's like me. Like I got him going on Thanksgiving, and he's so passionate about how Thanksgiving needs to be. He's like, we need to be making brisket, and we got to make brisket great again. And
Damn.
like, I don't know why we're making turkeys. And he gets so intense about it. You remember that clip, Q? It's like he gets super intense about it, and you're just like, I don't know if this guy's gonna knock me out.
Like, because I
Or-
don't want brisket for
But
Thanksgiving.
yeah, but he's super chill about it. And he's like, fuck the turkey, but he's super cool. And when you have dinner with him, he's a different person.
Yeah,
Totally
yeah.
different person. And and I get that. Like you have to have, you can only be on so much. Like when I
Yeah.
leave here and I go home and I'm done for the day, I don't want to have as much dialogue
Yeah,
with people. Like I'm
yeah.
kind of burnt out. And I'm kind of like just chill like I was last night. Like I'm just sitting and just
Yeah.
like whatever.
So I feel like sometimes like friends and family don't understand that.
Yeah, you
though,
gotta turn it
Because I
off.
know like my housemate, I've lived with her for 2 years, and when we first started living together was right when I got signed with Monster and started with the UFC. So I was doing a lot of appearances. Like I love doing appearances, but there would be some days where I'd be, I'd have to be on for 6 hours at a time, whether I was like doing a 2-hour appearance and then having to be with the Monster stuff outside of that, then doing a staff dinner, and then I'd come home and I'm like, fuck, I'm exhausted. Like I don't want to.
Trained.
I don't want to talk. I don't want to be online. Like I just want to sit down and play video games and hang out with my dogs. Like I don't want to talk to anyone.
It becomes
you know?
super draining.
Yeah, it's exhausting. And then it always like I go away. I went away for the Anaheim Fitness Expo, and I came home and it took me about a day to recover because I was just exhausted from the weekend.
Yeah, it's a super brain dump. It
Yeah.
really is, and it takes a lot out of you. I don't know how you guys do it. I mean, to be honest with you, like I have the luxury of kind of dancing between
Yeah.
worlds, so I can kind of manage it a little bit better. You guys can't as much.
I don't know how people with kids do it. I dated a guy a little while ago who had a son, and I remember doing an appearance through the day, and I came home and that fucking kid, dude, like, I was like, you guys got to go home. Like, I can't.
I need a minute.
Yeah, I can't handle it right now.
I need a minute. Yeah, I mean, it's tough, and it's tough to find a good companion or partner that understands kind of that brain suck and going through it, and then like you just want to go eat and you just don't want to talk.
Yeah, just let me lay in bed and hang out on my phone. Like, you just.
It's funny, Jay takes a hard line. Like he'll be like, people call me with their problems, and I just hang the phone up.
Yeah.
Like, I can't, that's like his line. But like, yeah, I mean, it's hard, and I applaud all you guys for doing it because I can say this: everybody I've dealt with that has a legitimate UFC background and has fought in the UFC and is a star, kind of like you, and they're so gracious. They've learned. They've kind of really dialed it in. They're super gracious with their time and super caring, and they do a great job kind of managing that relationship with the people.
Yeah.
And it takes
You
time
have to.
because I know not everybody wants to necessarily do this, but it's important to get your story out there. It's important to tell the folks what you got going on, which leads me to the next thing. Tell me kind of what you got going on next and where people can find you.
I'm fighting on UFC Moscow. Also, question.
Yeah, shoot.
Some people say Moscow, some people say Moscow. And so I switch it almost every time I say it. Say Moscow or Moscow?
I don't know. I'm not from there. Say it
Yeah,
however you want.
I don't know.
We
either.
have a Russian. We have a Russian. We can ask him. We have a Russian
Someone
here.
give me a
we make
real
AK-47.
answer.
Ask him a question. He's always asking us questions.
I know. Ask him the question. Yeah, we'll ask. We'll actually ask him that.
But yeah, I'm fighting on UFC Moscow, November 9.
November 9
and
against two.
Pani Kyanzad. So I actually fought her back in 2015 in Invicta, and I lost decision to her. So I'm very, very excited for this one.
So how does it go this time?
Well, I win, obviously.
What round?
You know what? She's really tough. You know?
God, here's the political answer.
No, she's really tough. Like, I've already fought her before. You know, I know exactly what she's like. I like to brawl a bit. Like, obviously, going back up to 35, I think I have a lot more power at 35 now. I would like to get a nice knockout eventually. Maybe this one, maybe the next one. I'm doing a lot of striking, but I don't know. I don't really like to make predictions because then I feel like I put it in my head too much, and then sometimes if you're thinking about something so much and it doesn't happen, it can throw you off. So I know she's gonna be tough. I know she's a lot bigger than me, so she's gonna be heavy. That's it.
Moscow.
Yeah.
Q, it's gonna be like Rocky. Jesse's gonna be in the barn training.
Right.
With the fire, with the fire pit, the obnoxious fire pit, the brimstone, and you know, who else is on that card?
Zabit and Calvin Qatar. I know that because I'm excited for that one.
Okay.
And then I think it's headlined by JDS and
Anyone else?
Volkov, whatever his name is. The giant, the really, really tall Russian. Yeah.
I know who you mean.
I have no idea who else is on that card. Oh, Vince Pichel. I know he's on it. I don't know who else.
And then we have there's one coming
this
up. There's one coming up right here in Vegas too. There's
December 14th.
Matt and Ben's
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah.
They're kind of headlining that, aren't they? Or they're like close to the top of the card, aren't
No,
they?
there's 3 title fights on that card.
There's 3 title fights on
Yeah.
that card? I don't see. That's how much I pay attention.
Yeah, so I know there's the 135 title, Amanda and Jermaine Durandame, and then there's Max Holloway and Alex Volkanovski, and then I saw yesterday that they're talking about finalizing Kamaru and Colby.
I don't know if that'll happen.
I don't know either. I really want it to. I mean,
I'd love for it to happen in
really
Vegas
want it to.
because that'll be a great card and it's
Yeah.
local to me and it's easy and I'm friends with frickin' 3 or 4 people on that
I
card.
just want to see that fight. That's it. I just want to see that
I want
fight.
it here for selfish reasons to avoid a flight. But I'm super pumped for what you have going on. I think this is going to be an awesome wild ride for you the next couple of years. I think the pieces are falling in place, and I think if you just keep up the grind, I think you're going to get all you want. Whether or not you'll win and whether or not you'll lose is going to be up to you.
That's true.
Yeah.
But good things come out of either. So
Exactly.
it's fine.
And you have the right attitude. So I'm super pumped. Tell everybody where they can find you because I know Q's pulling up the IG and all that. What are the
It's Miss Jessie Jess on everything.
on everything?
Everything's exactly
And why
the
Miss
same.
Jessie Jess? Just like it?
Well, it used to be Jessie Jess MMA, and then I have an issue with MMA fighters putting MMA or their
Yeah,
weight
so do
division in
I.
their name. So then I just switched it to Miss Jessie Jess so that, I don't know. I think it sticks out because I think it kind of opens more avenues because it has nothing to do with fighting.
I think
you know?
I don't get. I'm with you 100%. I say it
Or
all
like
the time.
they'll
in my
say Miss Jessie Jess UFC 135-pound MMA.
Like I just don't. I don't understand the whole MMA BJJ thing.
No, me
when people do
neither.
that, I don't get it.
Like,
I'm
why is
like,
that the only thing that defines you?
Like, is that all you have going on?
Yeah.
Because that's like the world they live in. I'm like, listen, you need to think bigger. What else? Any websites? You got a website?
No. Just Instagram and Twitter, Facebook. I have YouTube, but I haven't posted on it for a long time.
But that's
there
coming.
There are some funny old driving videos of me talking about how scared of ghosts I am. So
do more.
go
YouTube.
back and watch YouTube.
Yeah, do more YouTube, and then the fight and sponsors. Oh, plug your sponsors.
Oh, okay. Monster, CBDMD, Run Everything Labs.
All right.
I think that's it. Icon Meals. Yeah. All their...
We love Icon here.
Yeah. If you go to my Instagram, every single post has discount codes in the comments for all of them.
Perfect.
For all of them.
So check out that.
Triumph United. My bad.
Triumph. All right, and we're gonna have some Jessie Ray's barbecue. That's your favorite too.
I fucking love that place.
Yeah, but you got the website up, Q? Jessie Ray's.
Yeah.
If you look at this picture right here, that
John
It's
is
so
not
good.
John is not doing them justice.
So
Best fucking
good.
barbecue in Vegas.
So good.
how good is
I
it,
know
Q?
my barbecue. Okay, let me claim my black
Q
man.
Q's a
prize
bona
right now.
fide black man.
Bona fide black man. Okay, hold on. Let me pull up.
Why do black people know barbecue?
Hey man, I don't know.
What?
Maybe
oh,
'cause
there,
Bob-
wait, he's
but-
playing. He's playing like one of the. Wait, he's
Hold
playing
on.
like a sexualized video. He's sexualizing
This
the
is
meat.
porn, okay?
Look.
Like I watch this at home by myself in the closet.
That's
oh my
gross.
god,
But
that's
Like,
disgusting.
look at this.
is it
shit.
because barbecue is southern, right?
Whoa, that's racist.
Why is that racist?
Q.
I'm
why?
very foreign. Why is that
racist
racist?
Q. Why do black people know barbecue? Why white folks can't know barbecue?
That's a good question. Well, you know, white folks have no soul, so you gotta put soul in barbecue. Man.
Why
That's
is
where-
barbecue soul food?
Oh my god.
I'm super
Accent
foreign.
rash, man.
Please, I'm not racist. I'm super foreign. I don't
my
understand.
God. We're not racist here either. Q calls me a honky every day. We're not racist. No, I'm kidding.
We don't see color. That's
We don't see
bullshit.
color. I think when you grow up in locker rooms the way we all have, we actually laugh and joke about that.
Yeah.
Stuff. You include it. Like it's like
Got to.
you just you know what I mean, because we've all been in the locker room, so to speak. So it's like, what the hell do you care? Like we've all broken bread together. It's nobody thinks like that. But the point is, I do
But
want to
in
know.
media, yeah,
but
have to be a little more aware.
Of course, politically, it's a whole thing. But I mean, I don't. I just do want to know why black people know barbecue. There's got to be an origin to that.
Surely you
Q.
could
Very
Google it.
interesting. I'm gonna have to check that out, man.
Because I watched that Pitmasters on TV,
Oh yeah.
and it's all old timer white folks.
Oh God.
You're gonna have to figure out how. Yeah, soul. I'll buy the soul food thing. I'll buy that because the owner of Jesse Ray's is white. For the record, he knows barbecue, right? Q.
He knows it. Best in Vegas.
All
I'm telling
right,
you.
so we
You
won
here.
one. We've won one.
got one.
We got one for the white folks.
You live here or you visiting Jesse Ray's barbecue. It's the
So
truth.
good.
I want to give us quick special thanks to, before we cut this loose and go eat, to Built Drinks, Beyond Your Limit training drinks. They're super good. They were kind enough to give us a bunch. And I do want to thank Monster, too. I know we have a ton of Monsters. I appreciate everyone. I appreciate everybody taking the time. Go visit k-var. Go visit k-var.com. Go buy some freedom. And I want to thank everyone in the studio. We're going to go eat and enjoy the day. We're out.